Every year, factories around the world produce billions of bottles of tomato ketchup. Inside enormous processing plants, production lines run almost non-stop, filling thousands of bottles every minute to supply supermarkets, restaurants, and fast food chains across the globe. But ketchup does not begin in the factory. It begins in vast agricultural fields, where a special type of tomato is grown specifically for industrial food production. These are not the same tomatoes you find in grocery stores. Ketchup manufacturers rely on special processing varieties bred for sauces and tomato paste. These tomatoes contain thicker flesh, less water, and stronger natural flavor. Because they hold more natural sugars and less moisture, they produce a richer paste and help create the thick texture that ketchup is known for. Across huge farming regions, these tomatoes grow in long, carefully managed rows. Irrigation systems deliver controlled amounts of water throughout the growing season, while soil nutrients are monitored to maintain healthy plants and consistent crop quality. Farmers manage thousands of hectares of land dedicated entirely to tomato production. Over several months, the tomatoes ripen under the sun, gradually turning a deep red color. When the fruit reaches the ideal stage of maturity, harvesting begins, and the quiet fields quickly fill with large agricultural machines designed to collect enormous volumes of tomatoes. Harvesting tomatoes for ketchup production is a highly mechanized operation. Instead of workers picking fruit by hand, farms rely on powerful harvesting machines capable of gathering massive quantities of tomatoes in a short period of time. As the machine moves slowly across the field, it cuts entire tomato plants near the base of the stem. The plants are lifted onto conveyor belts inside the harvester, where vibrating systems shake the tomatoes loose from the vines. While the fruit continues along the belts, the remaining plant material moves through the machine and is discarded. Inside the harvester, a network of conveyors carries the tomatoes upward through several stages of sorting. Leaves, stems, and other debris are separated from the fruit as it travels through the system. In some operations, workers stand along inspection belts, quickly spotting and removing damaged or unripe tomatoes as thousands of tomatoes pass by every minute. The cleaned tomatoes move along internal conveyors and are transferred into large containers or directly into transport trucks. A single harvesting machine can gather several tons of tomatoes every hour, allowing farms to deliver huge quantities of produce to nearby processing plants. Once the tomatoes are harvested, speed becomes critical. Fresh tomatoes begin to soften soon after they are plucked, so they must reach the processing facility quickly. During harvest season, trucks move constantly between farms and nearby factories, carrying several tons of tomatoes in each load. When the trucks arrive at the factory, their cargo is unloaded onto massive receiving conveyors. The tomatoes are first weighed to record the incoming supply before moving deeper into the processing plant. Here, the tomatoes enter the first stage of factory preparation. Long conveyor belts carry the fruit through automated inspection systems, where cameras scan each tomato for color, shape, and surface defects. If a tomato fails inspection, air jets instantly push it off the production line. This technology allows thousands of tomatoes to be examined every second. After sorting the tomatoes, enter large washing channels filled with circulating water. Powerful sprays remove soil and dust that may still be attached to the fruit. As the tomatoes float through the washing system, lighter debris, such as leaves and stems, rise to the surface and are removed. Within minutes, the tomatoes are clean and ready for the next stage of processing. Now, the first major transformation begins. The tomatoes are fed into industrial crushing machines designed to handle huge volumes of produce. Inside the crusher, heavy rotating blades break the tomatoes apart, releasing the juice and soft flesh inside the fruit. The result is a thick flowing mixture known as tomato pulp. At this stage, the pulp still contains seeds and skins along with the juice and flesh of the tomato. Pumps move the pulp through large pipes toward the next stage of processing while maintaining a constant flow of material through the system. Factories can crush several tons of tomatoes every hour. In only a few minutes, thousands of whole tomatoes are reduced to a bright red liquid mixture. But to create the smooth texture of ketchup, the skins and seeds need to be removed. The tomato pulp is first gently heated using steam. Raising the temperature softens the skins and makes them easier to separate from the liquid pulp. The heated pulp is then pumped into high-speed centrifugal separators. These machines spin the mixture rapidly, using centrifugal force to separate the heavier skins and seeds from the liquid puree. The separator rotates at extremely high speeds, creating strong centrifugal forces inside the chamber. As the mixture spins, heavier solids are pushed outward while the lighter liquid collects near the center. This continuous spinning motion allows large volumes of tomato pulp to be processed without interrupting production. The remaining liquid passes through fine screens that filter the mixture even further. What emerges from this stage is a smooth tomato puree with a consistent texture. This puree forms the foundation of ketchup production. However, the puree still contains a large amount of water. To produce ketchup efficiently, factories concentrate the puree into tomato paste. The puree enters large vacuum evaporation machines used in industrial food processing. Inside these systems, the pressure is reduced, allowing water to evaporate at lower temperatures. This method removes moisture while preserving the flavor and color of the tomatoes. As water slowly evaporates, the puree thickens into dense tomato paste. Once the paste reaches the correct concentration, it is transferred into large sterile containers. Each container can hold more than a ton of paste, allowing factories to store the ingredient for extended periods without losing quality. When ketchup production begins, these containers are transported from storage into the processing area using automated forklifts. The containers are placed into machines known as paste dumpers. Large rollers press against the containers and slowly force the thick paste out into receiving bins. Because tomato paste is extremely dense, water is added to adjust the consistency. Mixing systems blend the paste and water until the mixture becomes a smooth tomato puree again. This thinner mixture can now move easily through pipes and pumps inside the factory. The puree is transferred into large stainless steel tanks and pumped through a network of pipes toward the next stage of production. This section of the factory is often called the ketchup kitchen. Here, the tomato base is transformed into the similar sauce found in ketchup bottles. Inside large mixing tanks, the puree is combined with a carefully measured blend of ingredients. Sugar or other sweeteners balance the natural acidity of tomatoes. Vinegar provides the sharp tang that defines ketchup. Salt enhances the flavor, while spices add additional layers of taste. Some recipes also include ingredients such as onion or garlic to deepen the flavor. Automated systems control the mixing process to ensure that every batch remains consistent. Certain ingredients are added earlier in the process, so their flavors develop during cooking, while others are introduced later to preserve their aroma. Inside the mixing tanks, large rotating blades keep the ingredients moving continuously, preventing settling and ensuring that every component is evenly blended. Once mixed, the ketchup base moves to the cooking stage. The mixture is pumped into large industrial cookers where steam heating raises the temperature while the sauce is constantly stirred. Rotating blades keep the mixture moving to prevent sticking and maintain even heating. Cooking usually lasts between 30 and 45 minutes. During this time, the flavors blend together and the mixture thickens into the smooth sauce recognized as ketchup. The heat also eliminates harmful bacteria and helps preserve the product. Once cooking is complete, the finished ketchup is pumped directly to the bottling line. Empty plastic bottles move along high-speed conveyor belts towards automated filling stations. These bottles are typically made from lightweight molded plastic produced nearby or within the same facility. The bottles travel in long rows toward filling machines where precise equipment dispenses measured amounts of ketchup into every bottle. The bottling line operates with remarkable precision. Multiple filling heads work at the same time, allowing hundreds of bottles to be filled every minute. As the bottles move along the conveyor, filling, capping, and transport are synchronized so the entire line operates in one continuous high-speed process. Sensors check the weight of each bottle to ensure the correct amount of product is added. Immediately after filling, caps are applied and tightened to seal the bottles and protect the ketchup from contamination. The sealed bottles then pass through cooling tunnels. Because the ketchup leaves the cooking stage at high temperature, cooling helps preserve flavor and maintain the correct texture during storage. Cold air or chilled water gradually lowers the temperature of the bottles as they move through the cooling system. Once cooled, the bottles enter automated inspection systems. Cameras and sensors examine each bottle to check the fill level, also the cap placement, and the overall appearance. Any bottle that fails inspection is removed from the production line. The bottles that pass inspection continue to the final stage of packaging. Labels are applied to each bottle showing ingredient lists, production information, and expiration dates. The bottles are then packed into cartons and transported along conveyors to robotic stacking systems. Robotic arms arrange the cartons onto large pallets, forming stable stacks ready for transportation. Finally, the pallets are wrapped in protective film to secure the load. From here, the finished ketchup leaves the factory. Trucks carry the pallets to distribution centers, supermarkets, and restaurants across the country and around the world.